What if a simple speedboat could actually threaten some of the most powerful warships in the world? It sounds totally impossible, right? But Iran has pretty much perfected a strategy that hinges on a really potent and disruptive weapon, one that's hidden just beneath the surface. So today, let's explore their asymmetric naval threat.
I mean, it just seems like a completely unfair fight, doesn't it? On one side, you've got this massive, multi-million-dollar vessel. It's literally the lifeblood of global commerce. And on the other, a tiny, fast, and let's be honest, pretty cheap boat. So, how on earth does David take down Goliath on the open sea?
Well, the answer to how David takes on Goliath, it lies right under the surface. We are talking about naval mines. Now, this is a threat as old as sea warfare itself, but it's been refined into an incredibly powerful tool for this kind of asymmetric conflict.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the scale of this threat, we've got to look at the technology itself. And Iran, well, they have a really diverse and surprisingly sophisticated collection of these weapons.
So, Iran's arsenal basically breaks down into two main types. On the one hand, you have your classic contact mines, brute force, super direct. And on the other, you have influence mines, which are way more sophisticated. The big differences between them are all about how they're triggered and where you put them.
All right, let's start with the one you've probably seen a million times, the contact mine. It's that classic spiky ball from old war movies. Iran's version, the Mahama 1, is tied to the seafloor and just floats there at the perfect depth. A ship comes along, bumps into one of its little horns, and boom. They're super cheap, maybe a few $1,000 each, but they pack up to 120 kilograms of explosives. Simple for sure, but devastatingly effective.
Okay, now this is where things get a whole lot more advanced. Influence mines, like Iran's Maham 2, these are the smart ones. They just lie silently on the seabed, completely out of sight. Instead of waiting for a ship to physically hit them, they use a whole suite of sensors to just listen and wait for a target to pass right over them, detecting its unique magnetic, acoustic, or even pressure signature.
And the way these things attack is what makes them absolutely terrifying. See, when an influence mine goes off, it's not really the shrapnel that does the major damage. Instead, it creates this massive, rapidly expanding bubble of gas. This bubble violently shoves the entire ship up out of the water for just a split second, and then it slams back down, snapping its keel, its backbone, in two. It is one of the most feared ways for any ship to be taken out.
So, Iran's got the weapons. We've established that. But the real genius of their strategy, if you can call it that, is in how they deploy them. This isn't about some traditional naval showdown. It's about something much harder to counter. Just to put this into perspective, back in 2019, the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency estimated that Iran has an inventory of over 5,000 mines. And that's just what they have sitting around, ready to go, not even counting what they can produce. But the real challenge here isn't just the number. It's how easily they can get them into the water.
And this, right here, is the heart of the whole asymmetric problem. Iran doesn't need special mine-laying ships. Nope, they can literally just roll mines off the back of a speedboat like they're bowling balls. They can hide them on fishing boats that just blend in with hundreds of others. They can even use commercial vessels, helicopters, or send in combat divers to slap on small magnetic limpet mines by hand.
And that poses the fundamental problem for any navy trying to counter this, right? When the delivery system can be pretty much anything that floats or flies, how do you possibly stop the mines before they're even in the water?
So this brings us to the ultimate goal of Iran's strategy. And it isn't necessarily about sinking ships. It's about psychology. It's about using uncertainty and fear to get what you want, strategically, without having to fight a major battle. This whole strategy really centers on a concept called a mission kill. A cheap little contact mine might not actually sink a massive warship, but it can blow a big enough hole in the hull to force that billion-dollar vessel to completely abandon its mission and just limp back to port for weeks, maybe months of repairs. For the price of a used car, mission accomplished.
And the thing is, once mines are even suspected of being in the water, the problem just gets exponentially bigger. Sweeping for them is a slow, tedious, and incredibly dangerous process. And even after weeks of searching, there's always that little voice in the back of your head. Did we get them all? That doubt, that is a weapon in itself. Which leads us to a really fascinating strategic question. What's the minimum number of mines you actually need to effectively shut down a critical waterway, say like the Strait of Hormuz?
The answer is zero. Absolutely zero. The mere threat that a single mine might be out there
is enough to force an opponent to assume a minefield exists. They have to start the slow, expensive, dangerous process of sweeping, which effectively closes the area to all shipping. The waterway gets blocked without a single shot being fired, without a single explosion.
And really, that's the ultimate takeaway here. In this new era of maritime guerrilla warfare, success isn't measured in the number of explosions or sunken ships. It's measured in hesitation. It's measured in fear. It's about turning an opponent's greatest naval assets into liabilities that are just too afraid to even be useful.